3 a.m., the shocking truth about giving your pain to God never told until now. The clock struck 3, and the air felt electric, crackling with secrets that wanted to be whispered. It was the hour when shadows danced and reality blurred. At this unholy time, everything turned mysterious. People stirred, and sleep became a distant memory. Fear crept in the silence like a hungry wolf. In the darkness, hearts raced, jaws clenched, and rooms felt too small. But there was one thing that left everyone stunned. A woman named Clara, known for her soft kindness, had a pain so unbearable, it nearly consumed her. One night, she decided to give it to God, or so she thought. But what happened next was far from ordinary. In her quiet living room, the temperature dropped as if a spirit had entered. Objects began to move on their own. A chair scraped across the wooden floor. Was it the weight of her despair that summoned something? Could her cries for help unleash a force she never expected? As Clara knelt by her couch, tears pooled in her eyes. A knot tightened in her gut. God, take this from me, she pleaded, her voice trembling. But instead of relief, she felt an icy grip on her shoulder, as if someone was standing right behind her, breathing down her neck. Goosebumps erupted on her skin. Clara spun around, heart pounding, but no one was there. The room grew heavy with tension, shadows felt alive, lurking just out of view. Then came the whispers. Faint and eerie, they floated through the air like leaves in a midnight breeze. Clara felt a cold chill bite into her bones. You think you can let go so easily? They seemed to taunt. Panic seized her. What had she imagined? Or was this the consequence of her confession? Friends had warned her about such things, had shared stories cloaked in worry and dread. But Clara needed help. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash the like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The whispers grew louder, reverberating off the walls. Are you ready to face the truth of your pain? They felt real, like a fierce wind that swept through her mind. Clara pressed her palms against her ears. What was happening? She didn't just want to stick around for this. Detaching pain from self, was it that straightforward? With every desperate heartbeat, she felt herself drawn deeper into a web of contradictions. Was giving her pain to God freeing, or would it unleash a greater darkness? A shiver raced down her spine as she dared to ask herself if she was prepared to confront whatever had been stirred within her. And so, she stood at a precipice, teetering between hope and fear, caught in that chilling moment of uncertainty. Was this the end of her struggle, or just the beginning of something far more sinister? The truth awaited, hidden beneath layers of shadows and whispers, and Clara knew she had to find out. The room felt alive, buzzing with energy that made Clara's skin prickle. It was as if the walls held their breath, waiting for her next move. Clara's heart thudded in her chest, a drumbeat of dread and curiosity. With every swirling shadow, she felt her grip on reality loosen. The whispers, oh the whispers! They wrapped around her like vines, pulling tight, making it hard to breathe. Who are you? She called into the darkness, her voice quaking. What do you want from me? The air thickened, heavy with unseen weight. A spark of defiance ignited within her, battling against the overwhelming fear. She had faced pain before. Each heart-wrenching loss had carved deeper lines of sorrow across her soul. But now, faced with an unseen presence, she felt more vulnerable than ever. The icy grip on her shoulder tightened, sending a jolt of fear through her. In that moment, Clara made a choice. If you're here, tell me. What do I need to know? Her words felt like a lifeline cast into the dark waters of despair. Silence fell, suffocating and thick. Then, as if the world itself quaked in response, a voice emerged from the shadows. It was low, raspy, and echoed like stone scraping against stone. Knowledge comes with a price. What are you willing to pay? Clara's breath caught. What did that mean? The idea of bartering with an entity from the dark left her stomach churning. "I want to be free of my pain," she exclaimed, desperation lacing her tone. "Isn't that enough?" "Pain is your companion," the voice hissed, dripping with malice. "Gifting it to God is but an illusion. You can forget, but it will never leave you." With each word, Clara felt her heart race dangerously. Was this truly a spirit or just her mind unraveling? Doubt gnawed at her, and something deep inside rebelled against the notion of everlasting torment. A flicker of light sparked within her. She had been defined by her suffering for too long. "Then I will confront it," Clara declared with newfound resolve. "I refuse to be a prisoner of my past." The shadows twisted, as if recoiling from her words. "You tread a dangerous path, Clara." Just then, the lights flickered, creating wild flashes of light and shadow that danced across the walls. Images raced through her mind, memories piled upon each other like a storm gathering strength. Her mother's laughter turned into sobs, her first love's kisses crumbled to betrayals, all her fears consumed her. Each moment felt like a dagger, aimed at her heart. "What if you can't face it?" The voice crooned, the mockery dripping from its tone. "What if the truth you unearth shatters you into pieces?" A surge of anger flared within Clara. "I'd rather face the truth than live in a lie." As she shouted, the room oscillated with energy, the air crackling like static. Suddenly, Clara felt a warmth engulf her, dispelling the cold shadows. It was a warmth reminiscent of her grandmother, enveloping her in comfort like a soft quilt. But just as quickly as it came, it faded, and with that, a sense of foreboding settled heavily within her. The whispers resumed, but this time, they carried a different tone, almost musical yet laced with danger, promising secrets to be revealed. "Then prepare, Clara. The truth is waiting." A sharp crack echoed within the room, like thunder challenging her very existence. Clara gasped, her heart racing. What truth awaited her in this darkness? With her resolve solidified, she braced herself against the impending chaos, ready to confront whatever lay ahead. Was she truly ready for the revelation? Or would the truth consume her whole, leaving behind only echoes of who she once was? As she stood firm, the shadows seemed to swirl, ready to coalesce into something far darker than she had ever faced. Would this be the end of her pain, or the start of something infinitely worse? The truth remained hidden in the flickering darkness, beckoning her deeper into the night. The shadows lunged at Clara, curling around her like sinister fingers. Her heart hammered in rhythm with the whispers growing louder, a cacophony of voices clashing against each other. She squeezed her eyes shut, the fear gnawing at her, but she reminded herself that she had chosen this path. She was ready, or so she thought. As the room twisted and morphed around her, a figure began to emerge from the darkness. It was tall and gaunt, draped in a cloak so dark it seemed to absorb the light. Clara's breath caught in her throat. This was the embodiment of the darkness she feared. It exuded an air of menace, its presence heavy like a storm cloud ready to burst. "What will you sacrifice for the truth?" The figure croaked, its voice like gravel grinding together. Clara stumbled back, her heart pounding so loud she thought it might shatter against her ribs. I'm not afraid of you," she stammered, though the tremor in her voice betrayed her. "Bravery is only the mask of ignorance," it hissed, slowly leaning closer, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. "You know nothing of the sacrificial weight of knowledge. Pain is not relinquished, Clara. It is transformed." The air shimmered with static as Clara gathered her thoughts. "What do you mean, transformed? I want to be free from it," she yelled, the intensity of her fear shifting into defiance. "Freedom?" The creature chuckled, a sound laced with haunting echoes. "True freedom comes at a cost you cannot fathom. For every shadow you wish to extinguish, you must bear a deeper cut. What do you cherish most? That is what you shall sacrifice." The very idea sent a chill running down her spine. Her mind raced as old resentments and fleeting joys flickered before her eyes. What would it take to be free? She felt compelled to ask despite her dread. "What do you want from me, really?" "Open the door to your deepest torment, and I will show you," it replied, gesturing with a skeletal hand toward an old wooden door materializing in the shadows behind it. It looked weathered with age, seemingly pulsating with a heartbeat of its own. Clara inched closer, her feet feeling heavy as if tethered to the ground. Each moment dragged out, and she couldn't shake the feeling that stepping through that door might tear her apart. "What's behind it?" she whispered. "Your past, your secrets, and those who have haunted you will await. Only by facing them can the light come through." The figure's eyes narrowed, the light flickering like a candle in the wind. "Will you dare?" She hesitated, thoughts colliding in a storm within her. The whispers had quieted to soft, alluring promises, urging her forward, teasing her with the relief that awaited. But with that relief was the potential for devastation. Could she truly confront her demons? Determination threaded through her fear. "Yes, I will." The words came out stronger than she felt, as if uttering them was breaking the chains that held her back. She reached for the doorknob, cold metal biting into her palm. With a deep breath, Clara opened it, a creak echoing through the stillness. A blinding light erupted from within, illuminating her surroundings in a blinding flash, and then she was swallowed whole. When the light dimmed, she stood in a familiar place, her childhood bedroom, untouched yet weighing heavy with memories. But they were different now, dark and twisted. Figures moved in the corner of her vision, their faces obscured yet painfully familiar. Each one represented a layer of her pain, her past begging her to acknowledge them. A sense of dread pooled in her chest. The laughter of her childhood friends echoed, but now it felt mocking. "Face us, Clara," they chorused, their voices merging into an unsettling harmony. What had she just walked into? Was this the confrontation she sought, or had she unwittingly opened a Pandora's box of anguish? The familiarity of the room deepened the terror. The truth was here, but at what cost would it come? As Clara stepped further inside, the door slammed shut behind her. The laughter morphed into wails. Panic clawed at her throat. She had to find her way through, all the while knowing that the truth she sought could rip her apart. But would she have the strength to face it? And what would be left of her if she did? The stakes were rising, and Clara felt trapped in a web woven from her own past. She looked around, searching for a path forward, but each shadow loomed larger than the last. Would confronting her pain finally set her free, or plunge her deeper into despair? The answers waited just beyond her grasp. The shadows thickened around Clara like a suffocating fog, the laughter of her childhood friends turning surreal, echoing off the walls of the room. Her heart raced as she felt the weight of their haunting presence, their figures shifting just beyond her reach. They were familiar yet grotesque, twisted reflections of the joy she had once known. "I'm not who you think I am," Clara shouted, trying to block out the mocking laughter. But it only intensified, a rising tide of desperation crashing over her as she fought to make sense of what was happening. "Don't be a coward. Face us," one voice taunted, sharp and piercing. With every word, the figures stepped closer, their features becoming clearer, memories morphing into nightmares. She recognized them, Jenny with her bright smile, Mark always teasing, and Sarah, her once closest friend whose betrayal had cut her deepest. They had all played roles in her story, but not the ones she wanted to remember. "Why are you here?" Clara spat, her voice shaky but defiant. "You're not real." "Not real?" They echoed in unison, their tone dripping with amusement. "We are as real as the pain inside you, Clara. You can't escape us." Taking a deep breath, Clara pushed back her fear. This was a chance, an opportunity to confront them, to find out why their specters tormented her. She focused on Jenny first. You abandoned me when I needed you most," Clara said, her words trembling. "Why did you do that?" Jenny's face shifted from a mask of laughter to one of cold indifference. "You were weak, Clara. We all saw it. You were the one who gave up first. We left you behind." A pang of guilt pierced Clara's heart. "But I was just a kid," she pleaded. "You didn't have to go." The shadows flickered, swirling around her feet. Mark stepped forward, his expression hardening. "You think you're the only one who suffered? We all moved on. You chose to dwell in darkness instead of walking into the light." "Enough!" Clara yelled, a surge of anger burning through her veins. I am done blaming you. It's time for me to let go. But the shadows tightened their grip, and Clara felt their presence pressing against her, suffocating and overwhelming. You can't let go of what defines you. Face it. They chanted. The room began to spin, the walls groaning like the weight of 1,000 memories trying to crush her. Just as she thought she would drown in despair, a soft flicker of hope ignited in her chest. The key was in acknowledging them, not succumbing to their power. I refuse to be defined by my past. Clara shouted, determination coating her words. You were part of my journey, not my prison. The shadows hesitated, flickering in response to her defiance. Clara stepped forward, reflecting on the pain each figure embodied, not thrusting them away, but recognizing their role in her life. Each name, every memory, represented choices that shaped her, but they didn't get to dictate her future. As she focused, the room began to shift, a faint light cutting through the darkness, illuminating the corners. The figures looked shocked, their sinister smiles fading. No! You can't do this! They cried. But I can! Clara exclaimed, her voice rising above the chaos. I choose to be more than my pain. The shadows roared in anger, and Clara felt the force of the dark beginning to unravel. With every breath, she embraced the past, the power of forgiveness igniting within her. She wasn't just facing her demons, she was reclaiming them, transforming them into lessons. But as the light surged brighter, Clara realized the room was still quaking. There was something else lurking just beyond, a deeper fear she had yet to confront. An ominous whisper brushed against her ear, and she turned abruptly. Clara, are you ready for the ultimate truth? A sudden chill swept through the air. The light flared, and just as quickly, shadows flickered again, swallowing her cries. What was this ultimate truth waiting in the dark? Desperation clawed at her as she fought to keep her footing. Would she have the strength to face it, or would it pull her under forever? The true battle was just beginning. The world around Clara collapsed into a swirling chaos of light and shadow. The familiar figures of her past disintegrated into nothingness, replaced by an all-consuming darkness that engulfed her. It felt alive, writhing and coiling, wrapping around her limbs like a serpent intent on strangulation. Heart pounding, she squeezed her eyes shut, the whispered questions echoing in her mind. Ultimate truth? What ultimate truth? Before she could settle her thoughts, the words dissolved into a cacophony, twisting through the dark air. A deep growl reverberated, pressing against her chest like a lead weight. Clara instinctively took a step back, her senses heightening as if the darkness itself were a predator, waiting to strike. With a flicker of courage, she opened her eyes, and the scene shifted again. This time, she stood inside an empty house, reminiscent of her childhood home. Dust motes danced in the dim light filtering through grimy windows. The air was thick and stale, each breath tasting of memories long overlooked. Where am I? She whispered, dread creeping along her spine. A creak echoed from behind her, sending a jolt through her body. She turned slowly, the tension palpable, and her heart clenched. The room was filling with shadows again, darker and more menacing than before. These figures had no faces, just swirling forms that seemed to pulsate with an otherworldly energy. They are the truths you buried, a voice breathed, smooth yet haunting. The voice slithered around her, tickling her ears as if it knew her secrets. Are you ready to uncover them? Clara's breath quickened, and she took a step back, but the darkness advanced, blocking her way. No! You have no power over me. She shouted, each word a fragile shield against the suffocating dread. The shadows stopped, swirling in contemplation. But what if they do? The voice countered, now sharper, laced with a sinister amusement. What if the deepest truth is that the pain you've cast aside is what is keeping you bound? Panic surged through Clara. She knew this was her chance to reclaim her voice, to confront the pain she had buried for far too long. I refuse. She cried, pushing against the invisible barrier that held her. I won't let the past dictate who I am today. With that declaration, the shadows recoiled, drawing back as if struck. A flicker of light erupted from within her, pushing the darkness away. She felt energy pooling in her core, raw and powerful. Show me. Clara demanded, her voice steady. Show me the ultimate truth. As if compelled by her challenge, the shadows exploded into a kaleidoscope of images, each one a moment of despair, loss, betrayal. Faces whirled by, Jenny, Mark, Sarah, all frozen in time, their expressions a mixture of scorn and sadness. Clara gasped, each image represented a thread of her pain, weaving through her life like a dark tapestry. As she absorbed each sight, something shifted in her stomach, a sickening twist of anguish that she could no longer ignore. Truth flooded in, lapping at her feet like water. Face it, Clara. What if the pain is the price for forgetting? What if the real battle is accepting your past? Enough! She shouted, digging her nails into her palms. You think I'm afraid? But the weight of their sorrow clung to her, heavier this time, as the shadows encircled her again in a bitter grip. The darkness was relentless, closing in tighter, an abyss hungry for her surrender. In that moment, a flicker of memory sparked. A moment she had long suppressed. The last conversation with her mother's tear-stained face and words of love wrapped in pain. You do not have to carry this burden alone, Mom. She cried out into the void, a sense of clarity beginning to take root as she connected the dots between her pain and love, grief and strength. The shadows hesitated, pulsing rhythmically. Are you ready to let it go? Clara inhaled deeply, feeling a burgeoning wave of strength wash over her. I am ready to face it all, to embrace it. I will not let you consume me. Just as the darkness seemed to recede, that sinister voice cut through once more, smooth and deceptive. What if you still can't bear the weight? What if you lose everything in the process? Her heart raced. Was she truly ready? The walls around her shimmered, the shadows threatening to consume her once more. The ultimate truth loomed closer, but what would it reveal? Would she find freedom, or would it all collapse around her? Clara steeled herself for what lay ahead, an uncertain path stretching before her, dark and foreboding. But this time, she felt a spark of hope igniting within her. The true revelation was just around the corner. The darkness shifted, layers peeling back like a tightly wound blanket. Clara felt a strange warmth beneath the shadows, a golden glow pulsating to the rhythm of her heartbeat. Fear and hope waged war within her, but the flicker of light urged her forward, promising answers. She took a deep breath, steadying herself against the tide of her emotions. Show me, she demanded, her voice resonating through the void, becoming an echo of determination. Instantly, the chaotic images morphed. The shadows turned vibrant, revealing scenes from her past in sharp detail. Clara found herself standing at the top of a staircase, peering down into her childhood living room. The laughter of children filled the air, ringing with an innocence she almost forgot. Her younger self was there, blissfully unbothered, surrounded by friends Jenny, Mark, and Sarah, every smile dissipating into the ether of memory. Suddenly, the laughter stopped, replaced by a chilling silence. Clara's pulse quickened. She stepped closer to the edge of the staircase, drawn by an invisible force. What would the memories reveal next? A sudden shift tugged at her, pulling her into a different moment. She was back in her mother's embrace, the scent of lavender overwhelming her senses. You're strong, Clara. You're so strong. Her mother's voice was a soothing balm, mixing with the warmth of love and a sharp pang of loss. But strength doesn't mean you have to do it alone. Her heart twisted painfully. Mom! She gasped, feeling the familiar ache of longing. Why did you leave? The shadows whirled again, responding to her anguish. They coalesced into a message, a sharp flash of truth cutting through her confusion. You never faced the fear of losing her. The voice was familiar, yet otherworldly, filling her with a painful clarity. Tears streamed down Clara's cheeks as she realized how often she let that fear rule her life. Never truly grieving, she had locked away the pain, convinced that moving forward meant leaving the past behind. No, it wasn't meant to be like this, she cried, choking on her words. But the darkness tightened, emboldened by her sorrow, feeding on her denial. It twisted around her, clawing at her heart, whispering lies. What if you forgot her? The voice sneered mockingly. What if you were destined to go through life shadowed by your own cowardice? No! Clara screamed, the sound echoing through the suffocating space. I won't let you trick me into thinking that. Suddenly, a blinding light exploded in front of her, forcibly shedding the darkness. In that instant, Clara felt her chest lighten. A weight she didn't know she was carrying slipped away. "Mom, I wish I could have saved you," she shouted, her words laced with desperation. "But I will not let your absence destroy me." The light surged forward, illuminating everything around her, the memories, the shadows, and the lingering pain. The figures of her friends, those once swirling shadows, began to take on form and substance. Their faces, once clouded with disappointment, softened, shining with understanding. "You're never alone," Sarah's voice floated through, clear and soothing. "We've been here all along." The warmth of their collective presence wrapped around her, weaving a cocoon that shielded her from the shadows. For the first time, Clara felt their support fill the cracks in her heart, fragile, yet solid. But then, from the corner of her eye, she saw a figure lurking within the fading shadows, watching her. Its eyes glowed with a sinister intensity. Panic clawed at her throat as she realized that not all truths were meant to be embraced. "Clara," the voice was deep and taunting. "What if acceptance doesn't come without great sacrifice?" A chill shot through her as dread filled the air. What else would she have to face to uncover the ultimate truth? Could she endure the path ahead, or would this darkness consume her will to fight? The flickering light began to dim, and Clara felt the haunting presence drawing nearer. The real battle was just beginning. What awaited her next, beyond this fragile light? Clara's heart raced as the figure in the shadows stepped forward, revealing a gaunt, skeletal face that grinned like a devil. A bone-chilling laughter escaped its lips, echoing through her thoughts. "You think you can face the truth? You're just a child playing dress-up in a grown-up world." With each word, Clara felt the warmth of her friend's light flickering like a candle in a tempest, threatening to extinguish. "I am not afraid of you," she shouted, but her voice trembled, laced with doubt. "Not afraid?" The shadow's voice dripped with venom. "What of your past? The moments you locked away? The guilt you carry like a suitcase? Can you really confront the pain that haunts you?" The memories surged again, a rush of whispers and visions flooding her mind. Clara saw her mother, lying on that sterile hospital bed, eyes drifting away from this world. "I didn't save you," she gasped, the realization gripping her throat. "I didn't even try." Exactly, the shadow loomed closer, dark tendrils reaching out, brushing against her skin like icy fingers. "You let fear guide you. How can you call yourself strong when you run from the truth?" Clara squeezed her eyes shut, desperate to block out the taunts. But darkness seeped into her very being. "What do you want from me?" she cried, panic gnawing at her insides. "The truth, Clara. To embrace it, you must know the cost. You will have to give up your denial, your fear. Are you willing to pay the price?" The flickering light dimmed further, teasing her with visions of loss intertwined with glimmers of defiance. She could hear her mother's soft laughter mixing with the shadows. "You are stronger than you believe, Clara. Don't let this darkness bind you. Remember the love." She clung to that warmth, feeling it unfolding against the grasping darkness, the shadows writhing in protest. Clara's knees buckled, but she steadied herself, summoning the courage she had buried deep. "I will face it," she shouted, her voice now a battle cry. Suddenly, the figure lunged at her, and Clara felt an icy grip on her heart. Memories spiraled faster, her mother's last moments, the day she could have reached out for help and didn't, the echoes of unanswered phone calls, and the hollow silence that followed. "Each choice you didn't make weighs heavy on you," the monster hissed, circling her like a predator. "What if your denial shattered your loved one's trust? Can you ever be whole again?" Clara felt a surge of anger rise within her. "I can't change the past, but I can choose to fight for my future." Then, with an injection of adrenaline, she flung her arms wide, tapping into the cloaking warmth of her friends, newly embraced love, and memories held close. The figure recoiled, hissing as the light intensified, forcing the shadows to retreat. "You'll regret this," it spat, the echoes of its threat echoing ominously. "Maybe, but I will not let fear win." With a sudden burst of energy, Clara leaped toward the light, her heart pounding with every frantic beat. She felt the shadows clawing for her, desperate to pull her back into the void. But a wall of warmth pushed them away, and she plunged deeper into the light, feeling the truth uncoil before her. Then, just as she thought she had won, the light flickered and faded, revealing one last thought. Remember, Clara, every action has a consequence. Before she could respond, darkness wrapped around her again, swallowing her cries. What awaited her next, behind that threshold of light? And were her newfound powers truly enough to confront the reality lurking in the shadows? Clara was engulfed in a heavy silence, the kind that pressed against her chest, making it hard to breathe. She swam through the void, the unfamiliar sensation of weightlessness strangling her hope. Where am I? The absence of light was suffocating, wrapping around her like a thick fog, and then she felt it, the cold, gripping fear returning, lurking just beneath the surface. Suddenly, her surroundings shifted. Like the snap of a rubber band, colors exploded back into view. She was standing in an old, dilapidated room that smelled of mildew and forgotten memories. The walls were stained and peeling, shadows clinging to the corners like secrets. Her heart raced. This wasn't just an empty room, it was a ghost of her past, a room she had buried deep inside her mind. There, in the center, sat a round table draped with a tattered cloth, bits of dust dancing in the faint light filtering through a cracked window. It felt strangely familiar but twisted, like a carnival mirror reflecting her darkest fears. A delicate porcelain doll, its face marred by cracks, sat propped against a rusted key. Clara's stomach twisted. This was the doll from her childhood, the one her mother promised would always protect her. Do you see it now? The voice slithered through the air, dripping with mockery. The skeletal figure emerged from the darkness, its laugh mingling with the creaking floor. The truth hurts, doesn't it? Look at the ghosts of your childhood, look at the pain you've hidden away. Clara fought the urge to shrink back as the creature stepped closer, each stride echoing with dread. I didn't shut you away. I swear. She shouted, the words escaping her lips like a defiant flame against a raging storm. You're not real. Oh, but I am as real as your regrets, as real as your inaction. It gestured toward the doll, its bony hand curling as if grasping the memories like a thief stealing away the precious moments. Clara took a step forward, her heart pounding against her ribcage, anchoring her to this reality. You're a reminder of my past. I'm not afraid of you. The darkness hissed and swirled around her, but she held on to her defiance. You're nothing without my fear, she declared. With every word, she felt the warmth of her friend's love flickering back inside her. The light started to pulse, weak but unyielding, fighting against the encroaching gloom. Love doesn't mean strength, Clara. It's your greatest weakness. The shadow sneered. What have you done with your life? What have you accomplished outside of those soft whispers and fleeting moments of joy? Can you truly stand against the weight of these shadows? Clara shook her head, a rush of heat flooding her veins. You've twisted everything. I can fight through this. I'm not that scared little girl anymore. Then prove it, came the taunting reply. The room began to spin, memories flashed, the laughter of her mother, the disappointment in her father's eyes, every moment she had wandered alone in sorrow. Clara squeezed her eyes shut. Just a little more. Let the warmth take over. With a fierce cry, she lunged for the doll, grasping it tightly. As she did, she felt something shift within her. A spark ignited, and the shadows around her began to dissipate. I remember. I will not let you take my past. I will own it. A blinding light erupted, bathing the room in luminescence. The laughter turned to screeches, the figure thrashing against the encroaching brightness. Clara felt the energy surging through her, breaking chains she didn't even know she wore, but just as the figure vanished into the light, a piercing scream echoed through the room, resonating in her bones. This isn't over, Clara. The truth always finds a way. As the echoes faded, Clara was left standing alone, clutching the doll as darkness swirled at the edges of her vision. The warmth began to flicker again, and desperation clawed at her. She knew she had to search for the next truth, the next confrontation. What more lies lay hidden in the shadows? And could she muster enough strength to face the very heart of her fears? Clara stood there, breathless, clutching the doll as if it were a lifeline. The light, a warm glow, flickered but was fading. The walls of the room shrank closer, pressing in until her heart raced again. She could almost hear the whispers, fragments of a forgotten time clawing at her mind. The doll slipped from her fingers, clattering to the ground, but instead of shattering, it began to pulsate with a faint luminescence. Suddenly, the space shifted again. The room melted away, replaced by a vast expanse of darkness that stretched infinitely. Shadows twisted and churned around her, whispering secrets and doubt. Clara felt the weight of their gaze, each one judging, taunting. "You think you've done well?" A familiar voice called from the void, echoing from somewhere deep inside her mind. "You're still running from the truth." Clara sucked in a sharp breath. It was the voice she always heard in her weakest moments. The one that had driven her to dark corners, the one she fought so hard to suppress. "No," she declared, her voice trembling yet resolute. "You win. I've faced my childhood, and I'll face whatever else is lurking." The darkness rippled, contorting into shapes that recalled memories too painful. Her father's disapproving frown, her mother's vacant eyes, moments that echoed her failures and sorrow. Each image ripped open wounds she thought had healed, pouring salt onto the memories. It felt cruel, merciless. "It's not just your past, Clara," the shadows hissed. "It's what you avoided, what you've relinquished." The ground beneath her feet shook, the shadows clawing at her ankles like 1,000 hands trying to pull her back into the void. A scream clawed its way up her throat, but she swallowed it down. "No! I drown in this." With determination blossoming, Clara kicked away the shadowed grasp. As if fueled by her resolve, she drew from the doll-less energy, her heart racing in rhythm with the pulsing light. "I am more than my pain," she shouted, each word growing stronger. "I will own my past, my mistakes, everything that I am." The light brightened, pushing the darkness back, but it screamed, filling her ears with a cacophony of despair. "You really think you're free? You just made yourself a target. You think love will save you?" Clara felt the swell of panic rise within her, but then, in an instant, she remembered her friends, their unwavering support. Their faces swam in her mind, soothing her nerves like a gentle tide. "Love is my strength," she countered fiercely, her voice rising above the chaos. "Love pushes me forward even when darkness tries to drag me back. I cannot be broken." Just then, the shadows recoiled, a sudden hush falling over the space. Clara stood taller, the air around her crackling with a fierce energy. The doll, glowing brighter than ever, floated gently back into her grasp. She clenched it tightly, a newfound power surging through her veins, but before she could relish the victory, the darkness surged one last time, and she sensed a presence looming large, a greater threat than the shadows. It whispered through the space, "You may think you've won, but now you'll face the price of your defiance." A piercing chill spread through her, paralyzing her in place. Clara's heart thundered against her chest. What had she unleashed? She took a shaky breath, steeling herself. "I'll stand my ground. I have to uncover the truth. I won't let fear dictate my life." But before she could move, the shadows swelled, and the ground began to tremble violently. "Then brace yourself, Clara. Your true test is about to begin." And just like that, the light flickered, and darkness enveloped her once more, plunging her into a dizzying spiral, leaving her questioning what awaited her next. Would she finally confront the shadow that threatened to engulf her? Or would she succumb to the very terror she thought she had escaped? The darkness faded slowly as Clara found herself standing in a stark, blinding light. The shadows that once surrounded her began to dissipate, scattering like leaves caught in a gust of wind. Clara squinted, trying to make sense of her surroundings. She was back in her childhood home, but it looked different. Instead of decay, there was warmth, vibrant hues illuminating the walls, her mother's laughter ringing in the air. "Mom?" Clara whispered, heart racing. She could feel a presence, not filled with dread, but with love. "Clara, my beautiful girl," her mother's figure appeared, shimmering brilliantly. "You faced them, didn't you? The shadows, the pain of the past?" Clara felt tears streaming down her face, but this time they were not tears of sorrow. They were tears of relief. "I was so scared I didn't know if I could do it." Her mother smiled. "But you did. You confronted your fears. The darkness cannot hold you if you refuse to submit. Every step you took brought you closer to accepting the truth. Clara's heart swelled as warmth engulfed her. It felt like sunshine breaking through a cloudy day. The weight she had carried for so long began to lift, replaced by an overwhelming sense of courage. But what if I'm not strong enough? What if the shadows come back? They won't, if you recognize the light within you, her mother replied softly. Your pain has shaped you, but it does not define you. Remember that every scar tells a story of survival, of learning. The brightness around Clara intensified, wrapping like a hug, weaving hope through every part of her being. Suddenly, she felt a presence behind her. Clara turned, and it was her friends Jenny, Mark, and Sarah, each glowing just as brightly, each one represented not as specters of guilt but as pillars of support. We're here, Clara, Jenny said, stepping forward, her features kind and reassuring. We always have been. You chose to fight, and that choice brought us back to you. Clara felt the last remnants of doubt dissipate, replaced by a steadfast resolve. I refuse to be defined by the shadows, she declared, each word echoing with purpose. I will take the lessons, carry the love, and keep moving forward. A surge of energy filled her, coursing from the ground up through her body, radiating outward into a stunning burst of light that illuminated the entire room. The golden hues of their laughter blended perfectly, creating a beautiful symphony of hope and healing. Now, Clara, Sarah called out, you have to step through the door of your new beginning. The choice is always yours. In the center of the room stood a grand door, intricately carved with scenes from her past, each one depicting a moment of fear and pain transformed into lessons learned and strength gained. Clara stepped closer, her heart pounding with anticipation. This was the moment she had been preparing for. She reached for the door handle, the cool metal feeling empowering in her grip. With a deep breath, she opened it wide. A blinding light flooded from within, filling her with warmth and clarity. Clara stepped forward, the light enveloping her insecurity, pushing back any lingering doubt and fear. Out she went, leaving the shadows behind. As she crossed the threshold, Clara felt the heaviness of her past lift entirely, replaced by a bright horizon promising new beginnings. She turned back one last time to her friends and mother, their silhouettes glowing with pride. Thank you, she whispered, her heart swelling. I love you. I love you too. They chorused, as they faded into the brilliance behind her. Clara stood in the sunlight of her new reality, brave, whole, and ready to weave her story anew. She could feel the shadows receding, replaced with the warmth of love and hope. And above all, Clara now carried the knowledge that she held the power to choose her paths. With that thought, she stepped forward into the world, leaving the darkness behind, ready to embrace whatever came next. This was her story, her journey. And every moment was a blessing. So, if you resonated with Clara's incredible transformation and want to hear more outstanding stories, you need to subscribe now. Smash that like button so we can continue to share these uplifting journeys. Flood the comments with your thoughts, reactions, and theories about Clara's remarkable journey, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with all your friends. They deserve to hear this inspiring tale too. Together, let's carry this momentum forward.